Greetings from Cybertron. This is SoundJack here with another episode of SoundJack's Rambles. And today I am here with Potter.
Hi.
I was going to say, are you going to say anything or are you just going to pretend the audience saw that wave?
Pretend the audience saw that wave.
Okay. But anyway, we are here to talk about the latest movie out of the DC cinematic universe.
Justice League.
Yeah, Justice League. Yeah. And that, I shouldn't make my opinion so strong right off the bat, but...
Half bat.
Boo. Boo. But, definitely a train wreck of a film. Maybe train wreck's too strong of a word. But
No, it was a train wreck. It just had really good passengers on it.
And there were parts of the train that were really nice, like the seats. Like some of the seats were like really nice.
Let's get out of this train metaphor.
Yeah. But anyway, so Potter, do you want to give the audience a brief summary of what Justice League is, both the movie itself and its larger implications in media?
In summary, Justice League was a catch-up to Marvel. It was an attempt to get Phase 1 and 2 basically completed. In this movie, they're basically facing their Ultron, while also facing their alien invasion, all at the same time. In terms of plot, Batman gets the Flash, Cyborg, and Wonder Woman together in order to face the threat that's coming, knowing that Superman is dead. However, through realizing that Superman can be revived, their main task turns from being able to stop whatever threat's coming to revive Superman because we can't deal with this threat and Superman can beat this threat senseless. That's the plot of the movie. And in long story short, the plot
spoiler
is...
warning, by the way, just in case you weren't
if
aware.
You're listening to this and you're spoiled, don't get mad at us.
Fair.
Get mad at your mother and father for giving you bad genes because you didn't realize that this was the thing. But I would say that, in short, the movie is really, we need Superman. We need the world needs we need Superman. The world needs Superman is said at least 4 or 5 times. At least 5 times.
Yeah.
And it's this idea that the Justice League is nothing without Superman, which is so incredibly risky and unnecessary. Because really, Justice League is nothing without Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot. And because if Wonder Woman flopped, no one would have seen Justice League. And the thing about Justice League is that it is limiting. Now, this is a little bit of Captain Hindsight here, is that these movies should have started about 5 years ago. These movies should have started as soon as the Dark Knight trilogy ended. Not necessarily with the new Batman, but with some new Justice League people coming in here. Because they should have realized that when Captain America came out and the success of that, oh no, we really got to jump on this. Not when middle of Phase 2 they were going, oh wait, hold on, no we really no we really got to get going. They played so much catch up in this movie. The main problem they face now, Warner Brothers faces, is that there's no reason for any solo movies to occur. In Avengers, we have reason why. Thor is off-world. Cap is sectioned off because the whole organization of S.H.I.E.L.D. is infiltrated and is slowly falling apart, and all the Avengers are at risk and elsewhere, and there's reason why no one is contacted. In Iron Man 3, there's reason why no one's contacted. A little less than the other movies, but still. There doesn't really seem to be any reason why the Justice League wouldn't face every threat that they have together. And if it was small enough that the Justice League isn't warranted, then it shouldn't be on the big screen. So I'm concerned that they've now really... Character development was great. They didn't really focus much on Wonder Woman because she had her own movie. They focused on Flash. They focused on Cyborg, making him really relevant to the plot in a cool way, actually.
Yeah.
It was cool. Having Cyborg's background be alien.
Yes.
In technology. That was really cool.
Appreciated.
Yes. All of it in character development was appreciated. But it's one of those things where I can complain about the plot and everyone complain about the plot till the cows come home. But other than the fact that Steppenwolf, whatever his name is, was a little when it comes to being the crap out of him by Superman, and it was just like, well, that's all we needed, right? It was just like, other than that little thing, that the plot needed to be fast because the plot needed to be accelerated. Everything needed to be accelerated because we're at a point of DC needing to catch up to Marvel.
Yes.
But in the process, they basically had from the start of Avengers to the end of Infinity War all in one movie. Because why I say that is that the Unity are the DC Universe's Infinity Stones.
Yes. In terms of what power they have, they basically are Infinity Stones, just more of a smaller scale.
Yeah, a little more of a smaller scale.
But in terms of their plot relevance and their plot function, they hold the same purpose. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, the only thing we got about them was in the last movie, well, the Batman v Superman movie was a weird vision, if I am heard correctly. I will blatantly say right now, I have not seen Batman v Superman or Wonder Woman, but I know a lot about Batman v Superman because I watch Movie Bob's Really That Bad series on it. Go check it out. It is really good. It's a really nice professional analysis of this film, of the Batman v Superman film, not the Justice League film, but and there's no. Are we good to talk about specific points in the movie, do you think? And the specific thing with the Unity is there's not build up to it. It's the Infinity Stones, but the Infinity Stones keep getting built up to. They keep appearing in different films. We keep getting the Infinity Stones, Infinity Stones, Infinity Stones. And now they're all just in our laps.
See, for DC to catch up to Marvel's plot of Infinity Stones of the last of like it'll be 10 years. It'll be 10 more or less. No, like 8 maybe. Years of build up between it was really Captain America that started it.
Yeah.
And in Infinity
Even though we didn't know it was an Infinity Stone at that time.
That's right? Yeah. Oh, we knew it was.
Oh, we did?
We knew. Well, we didn't know that it was.
But the fans were like,
we knew that it was.
Okay.
When it happened, everyone's like, "Wait, what? Space? It's the Space Stone. It's a Space Jam. Oh my god!" And just realized it wasn't being vaporized. It wasn't. But in the comics, the Space Stone was in a Tesseract, and there were multiple. Anyway, we're talking about DC. The point is that there are all of these years of build-up. DC can't even begin to match that. They can't do it. And I feel like they knew that they couldn't do it. And so they're like, all right, well, we got to catch up to some point. And then once we get to that point, let's try to beat them past that point. Why I say this is that the next 2 years for DC in building are crucial because Marvel is going to hit the reset button in a year and a half. After Avengers 4, all of the characters that we know as we know them are going to be completely rearranged or gone.
Yep.
Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark, Chris Evans's Steve Rogers' Captain America. They not necessarily Captain America because Falcon and Winter Soldier can take over if he dies.
Yes.
All of those characters and people are going to be gone, and DC is not hopefully going to hit that reset button. except for maybe Ben Affleck as Batman, which is
Yeah.
another problem. But they have options. They have a lot of options. There's a lot of people in the Batverse that they can bring in for options. If there's another Batman movie and Ben Affleck's Batman dies and Robin turns into Nightwing and goes on, especially with Batman's age currently,
Yes.
especially with Bruce Wayne's age, that would make sense to go on. Long story short, DC is not going to hit the reset button. Marvel is. That is DC's chance to capitalize on what it's grown in the past few years in terms of characters.
Yes.
But they need to keep the actors on board until that point. they need to keep them on. And I think that it's hard when you have movie after movie that sucks.
Yes.
That has all these bad ratings, that has all these negative returns, very low returns. And
Justice League is already doing crap.
yeah, yes it is.
And it's only been out, what?
Oh gosh, I heard this sexist thing of like, oh, it did as well as Wonder Woman did. It's like number one. That's like comparing Captain America to the Avengers. Okay, that's what that is, because you're comparing a single movie, the movie with one character versus a movie with all the characters. And if the movie with all the characters did just a little better than the movie with one character, that's a bad thing. That does not mean anything. And also, Wonder Woman still did better in the worldwide office.
Yes.
Justice League did crap in the worldwide office. Continue.
Yeah.
Sorry, sexist people were annoying.
No, yeah. Completely understandable. But the thing is, if I remember hearing correctly, DC is already concerned and is considering chopping off the DC Expanded Universe sooner than they've already announced, if I heard correctly. Do you know anything about this? I know I've been hearing at the very least a rumor mill, and I thought it was a confirmed report, but I'm not sure.
That what?
That
Rephrase.
So we've already had like the certain amount of movies announced, and like all of these movies are coming out. Apparently, there has been a report of some kind that they are already chopping it off and already trying to end it.
The DC universe?
Yeah.
I mean, so the DC universe has like 5 or 6 universes going on right now.
Well, the movie one.
In movie and in TV.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea that they want to start another one is understandable in like one way, but really, like, what are you thinking in 20 different ways? So I really doubt that.
Okay.
I can't imagine that they're going to kill off the universe when it's just barely started.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since they have a Cyborg movie, a Flash movie, and another Wonder Woman movie planned. And they also have a Batman movie planned, which is kind of up in the air plot-wise now, I think, because of Ben Affleck saying, I don't want to be Batman anymore.
Yeah.
So,
but those might be reasons why they're, like, concerned and maybe contemplating that.
Here's what I think. I think that there's no reason, as long as Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman wants to be in the movies, I see no reason why they can't continue.
Okay.
Other than the fact that they freaking shot themselves in the foot. If Henry Cavill decides, I don't want to be Superman anymore, then they are done, because the problem is that they've said over and over in that Justice League movie that there is no Justice League without Superman.
Yes.
And they could have done, proved themselves wrong, and then Superman was revived at the very end of the film, which is what I thought was going to happen, is they were like, we can't do this without Superman. And then they did it without Superman, and then Superman would have been revived. That would have been so much of a better plot.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the idea that Justice League is nothing without Superman is a faulty one, and they need to get out of that. So that means Green Lantern, done right.
Which
that
I'm actually
Martian Manhunter.
Which honestly, what I'm surprised with, like how the history of the Unity was presented. I'm surprised there wasn't any Green Lantern stuff in this film.
Well, there reportedly was supposed to be a teaser trailer for Green Lantern at the end of this, but
that didn't happen.
I think that there was a tease within the movie, which was nicely put, of a Green Lantern dying in the original fight against Steppenwolf, and the ring going and flying off. I thought that was a nice little teaser.
Yeah, but it's still different from the human Green Lantern actually appearing. and the Green Lantern Corps in some way being involved since
still too soon.
Yeah. After the bad one. But it's though I do agree they do have, with what you have said that for a lot of this podcast already. They have potential. It's only going to be successful if the next few years are really good. If they're not good, it's going to flop hard.
Here's what I think DC should do, and I know they won't do, is Marvel has, I think a few directors or producers have said that there aren't going to be any more team up, buddy up movies other than Guardians of the Galaxy after Avengers 4 for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just such an incredible mistake. There's a reason why comic books, even when it's like a Batman comic book, like they all feature other comic book heroes.
Yeah.
There's no really an audience for single storyline people because they're so involved all the time. When you have these single movies, when you have the Cyborg movie and the Flash movie, and the Flash gives a call to Wonder Woman because of something to do with archaeology. Cyborg, I'm just throwing off the top of my head. Cyborg gives a call to Bruce Wayne because he needs money for a piece of technology. I don't know. Those are two lame ass plot points. Warner Brothers, don't listen to me. Don't be writing. Put the pen down. I think that there are ways that you can connect each other well and have those individual movies and still have it flow nicely and be reasonable. Maybe there is a threat that doesn't warrant the full Justice League.
Yeah.
That warrants just the individual. But I think it's stupid if they just said, oh, it wasn't a big deal enough to call the Justice League. It's like if they need help, they're going to show up.
Or they're too confident / cocky to think that they actually need the Justice League for the situation until they're over their head. But not all of them could.
That. Yeah.
Like,
Superman, sure.
Yeah. Superman, definitely. Cyborg, depending upon how it's played, could definitely be if it's like another instance of his father getting kidnapped.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what Cyborg's movie will be. I love how I said booyah at the end.
Yeah.
But
because that was definitely there to grab the younger audience because of his popularity with Teen Titans.
See, Cyborg's last true appearance, not counting Teen Titans Go, was in Teen Titans. And he was a very solid member of the team, but he never had, to my knowledge, like, you had your constant brooding Robin arcs. You had your Starfire arcs up in
Cyborg got his own arc.
You had when? You had Raven with her father. You had Beast Boy with his problems with his DNA.
He had a season. He had an entire season. It was the Hive season. He had for
the Hive season was not Cyborg season.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
He ran his own team for a period of time, and he was considering quitting the entire Teen Titans. And the master of the Hive was his villain. That was.
Well, obviously, it wasn't very memorable. But anyway,
actually, if I remember correctly, by how they counted, actually the Starfire season was actually the Terra season, and Starfire never actually really got her season.
Every episode was a Starfire episode
because there was supposed to be a 6th season featuring Starfire, focusing on Starfire, and then that didn't happen because the Cartoon Network sucks and cut the show off.
Well, I'd love to go on a whole rant about how Cartoon Network has dug itself in a hole of its claim of we like the Uncle Grandpas because the kids like Uncle Grandpas, but the problem is you put out Uncle Grandpas and therefore you get people who like Uncle Grandpas. Anyway, that was the last time Cyborg was really exposed, and yet he's getting his own movie. I'm very interested to see how that plot will work out. I'm not that well versed in the DC universe, but I don't know that Cyborg has that much of a backstory or integrated storyline.
I mean, the most I do know is that Cyborg has been a member of the Justice League in the past, just never as a founding member, and that's the thing I think is the most interesting. Well, like they can totally rewrite who's the founding cast, but like they had precedents to build on for putting Cyborg in there. But you mentioned it before, and I think the best one of the best reasons about Cyborg is that they just didn't throw him in just for the easy, like, get in the younger kids crowd, but because he actually had plot relevance, because he was in fact made out of one of the Unity sections. All the cybernetic technology was alien technology.
He is a founding member of the Justice League.
Oh, he is.
I didn't know that.
Oh, I didn't. I thought I heard that he wasn't, and
he's
that
a founding member of the Teen Titans and the Justice League, apparently.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay.
I didn't know that either.
I thought he was just a member, but not one of the founding members.
I have no idea, man.
Anyway, my thing, and I talked to Potter about this after the movie, but I definitely want to bring it up here. I think, and it's in an idealized world, if they were going to try to cut as quickly as they can to the DC Avengers film, I think it would have been served in order to build up the villain, especially, but also like the whole especially since like we were talking about the Unity was the Infinity Stones, but there was no build up. There was nothing about Steppenwolf really. I think the Cyborg movie coming before that would have been the way to get been enough for the build up, for the appropriate build. Not as much build up as the Marvel has been doing with the Infinity Stones.
It's hard to compare. That's cinematic history right there.
Yes, exactly. But this would have been a proper build up, because we still would have gotten we still would have gotten a taste of the mythology behind this motherboard thing. We would have had Cyborg more so trying to cope with this man and machine, this alien code going on in his head. And he could definitely have had visions of like Steppenwolf and the mother and all of the other stuff to build this imposing threat up. In this movie, Steppenwolf appears and there's nothing.
It's almost like we're missing a movie between Wonder Woman and Justice League. In terms of plot too, because there's suddenly these random exploding insect things appear in Gotham City, and it's like, wait, hold on. Like at first I was like, I feel like I haven't seen something. That was my first impression.
Yes,
I feel like I missed the season premiere, and this is like season. This is like episode 10, and I've missed the first 10 episodes, and I'm very confused as to what's happening.
And the season ends on episode 13.
Yeah, so I think that this is a situation where Thor and half of Captain America are taken away, and all we have is Iron Man, Incredible Hulk. I think that maybe not Cyborg, but the reason why I say maybe not Cyborg is because Cyborg's rise to him knowing about his powers and him accepting his powers or growing to accept his powers was an integral part of this plot. Now you could argue, well, didn't you just say the plot is really stupid? Why, yes, I did. So,
but that was a good necessary part of the plot.
But like in this particular instance of this plot, his when Superman was revived, he was really pissed off because Cyborg can control anything. The fact that the Unity was introduced and Cyborg was introduced, and that Cyborg's powers are introduced all at the same time was very nice, because he got to learn about all of them at the same time. And also the fact that Cyborg's powers aren't 100%, and that they grow conveniently, but whatever. They grow was very good for the plot of getting them out of the flood, for example, of ripping Unity apart. I felt like it was very fitting that Cyborg, we didn't know a lot about Cyborg before then for this particular plot. Now, if the plot had changed, yes, I think an intro to Cyborg would have been great, and the fact that we learned about Unity in some sort of like vague sense would have been great. At the end of Cyborg, like I even looked it up on my phone just now. Like, there's no main Cyborg villain. There's no Joker. There's no Lex Luthor. There's no Manta. Whatever. What is Aquaman's Manta?
Manta Ray. I'm pretty sure it's just Manta Ray. I'm pretty sure it's
Manta Ray. That's so lame. Anyway, it's Aquaman. Oh,
well, not this Aquaman.
No. This Aquaman was fantastic. This Aquaman. I mean, like,
but before we get to Aquaman,
you don't really need to work hard to beat Aquaman. It's like regular Aquaman, but oh my gosh, he worked hard, and damn, it was good.
Well, we can get to that later. Finish what you're saying on Cyborg and the movie.
If the plot was different, and if the Unity had more build up to it, I feel like a Cyborg movie would have been great. It would have attracted a good amount of people. It would have been right off of Wonder Woman. And it's about a guy who is like 90% robot. Like, who's not going to go see that movie?
Right?
It's going to be... And, the people who don't know who Cyborg is will see this as like, oh, here's this half... like not half, but like half man, half robot guy who's overcoming the adversity of being turned into a robot. That sounds like a cool movie. I'm going to go see that. But even if they don't even know who Cyborg is, which you should,
yeah,
not like, oh, you should know that, but like he's a great character.
Yes, he's wonderful.
Yeah, I agree with you that I think that a Cyborg movie would have been nice before Justice League, and we have to wait till like what 2020 before.
Yep,
just like come on, capitalize. Hey, let's go.
They could have beat Marvel at both the first female superhero film and the first African American superhero film.
Yes, which, see, I know that some people were complaining about Marvel and lead character diversity. Understandable.
Yes.
Having they've chosen a lot of white comic book heroes, and there are a lot more white comic book heroes than any other kind of comic book heroes.
Yeah.
I know I was talking to someone though who's like, I was so upset that Peter Parker wasn't black. Did I tell you this is my argument with this?
Yes.
It's just like, of course Peter Parker should not be black. And they're like, oh, you don't want a black Spider-Man? Just like, no, I do want a black Spider-Man. I want Miles Morales because he's been established for 10 freaking years. Let's get him.
Yes.
Let's get him involved in this. Let's just not throw, a black character in there and a white family and say, oh, there you go. That represents, just the average black man.
Yeah.
And in this case, they have woken up to the fact that Marvel has woken up to this fact. And I feel like DC has capitalized on the fact that Marvel has this hole of Wonder Woman.
Yes.
Captain Marvel's not coming out to what, 2019?
Yes, if I recall
or
correctly.
2018.
It's going to be right before Avengers 4.
2019. I think it is 2019.
Yeah, she's not going to be out for Infinity War, hole. I don't think.
There's a pretty big hole because I think the only two movies between Avengers 3 and 4 are Ant-Man and the Wasp for some reason.
Yeah.
And
Captain Marvel.
And Captain Marvel. I understand Captain Marvel. I don't understand Ant-Man and the Wasp, but we can talk about that later. It's just like, where does it fit? It just makes zero sense. Anyway, the point being that you have the cyborg, you have the black superhero, you have more of and Marvel has tackled this in TV, but they haven't tackled on the big screen yet. Yeah. And DC has failed to capitalize on showing diversity on the big screen, and they failed to capitalize on a lot of things. Now, I'm not saying that DC should use minorities and use people who are being oppressed for profit. I am saying that representing them is necessary, and showing audiences that you're willing to represent them is very good for both those minorities and those communities, and for your image as a PR guy, straight up. showing that, like, hey, you're willing to support these minorities, show them on the screen, as you would anyone else. It takes a stand in the right direction. And although Wonder Woman was great, it DC could have capitalized a lot more on it.
Yes.
We have Wonder Woman. We have Batman, who's just a white rich guy. There's nothing they can do about that.
Yeah.
he's a white rich guy. And we have Superman, white strong guy. But everyone else was it was Wonder Woman, and then everyone else was of color in Justice League. Or sorry, everyone had a like
diversity.
we had diversity. We had
Flash was Jewish
as Ezra Miller.
Well,
or are you talking about Barry Allen?
Barry Allen.
Barry Allen's Jewish. I didn't know that.
There was a brief mention of that.
Oh, was there?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. He like.
Well, Ezra Miller, I believe, has a Hispanic background.
Mm-hmm.
What is Aquaman's actors? But anyway, the point being diversity. There's the diversity.
Yeah.
And the full white cast of the Avengers.
Yeah.
DC needs to capitalize on its gains.
Yeah, but my question to you, Barry Allen was noted to be Jewish in the film, and that's not really. This is one thing that I'm confused, like, in a socio-political thing. So I'm sorry, I'm sidetracking here for this question.
Go for it.
I know in times and places, the Jewish people are not white people. But most Jewish people I do recognize in America, I could just assume were just white Americans. Are Jews classified as white Americans in this way we would classify other religious groups as just white people? Because that's my confusion. That's my question.
Well, you can pull together people based on different racial or different backgrounds. White people, okay, but then there's still Jews. There's still people oppressed within white people. There are women. There are Jews. There are people of poverty. And so being of something doesn't necessarily exclude you from being of other things. So you can be of high status as being a black man.
Yes.
Still have the oppression of being.
Let me clarify.
Okay.
Because my upbringing did not properly teach me, because being Jewish is both a religious thing and a race thing. There is a specific Jewish culture that is, from my understanding, it for a long time at the very least is a lot different from Christian culture.
Yes.
So I'm just confused about that kind of classification because of the specifically Jewish religion and cultural.
I know that religion influences culture, just like culture has influenced religion. But I think religion has influenced culture a lot more. Anyway, the
sorry for this tangent.
But what I would say is that there is very much a difference in culture in between religions, and that difference is reflected in a reflection of society, which in this discussion is comic books.
Yeah.
Being able to, when you had with these people who of minorities show up in comic books, it was a reflection of not of what it's not a new reflection of what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a new reflection of people, but it was a change in culture that all of these religions or all of these groups of people should be represented.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the okay, they're represented, and then there's the okay, there's represented accurately. There's the okay, let's make Peter Parker black, stupid, or okay, let's make Miles Morales great.
Okay.
There's that evolution.
Yeah.
Evolution, so to speak.
Yeah. The main reason why I was bringing this question up because I was thinking in talking about Barry Allen and the Flash in this, you were saying about how the actor is of some has a diversity in his background.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to make sure I was accurate in saying that in this film he felt like he was coded as a white person. Because I brought that up because in another movie Bob thing where he was talking about The Matrix, he noted that Keanu Reeves is an actor of
Hawaiian, I think.
He has different ethnic he has an ethnic background, but in the film he was clearly coded as a white male.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to make sure I was okay with saying that, making sure I wasn't saying anything wrong by saying that Barry Allen in this movie was coded as a white male and a Jewish male.
I think that Barry Allen is kind of like a non-observant Jew from the comic books standpoint. So I think that that's been kind of either strongly speculated or settled. As for Barry Allen's color, I think he's always been. Again, this is the question of okay, let's make it black Barry Allen. No, there's Wally West right there. Like,
yeah,
like what are you doing?
Yeah.
So it's and Wally hasn't. I don't think Wally has always been black. I think that was a relatively new thing.
Okay.
But anyway, the point being that circling back again and again and again, the representation of him in the film, I don't necessarily know. I know that his background has not affected. Let me reword. His representation has not misrepresented any groups yet, or not represented any groups really that we know of.
Precisely.
What I mean by that is when Luke Cage walks in somewhere and everyone looks at him as not the white man that can protect them from anything, but the black man that can destroy them and nothing can stop him. It's that difference that is explored in Luke Cage, the series, which is I really enjoyed watching that and how they showed that.
Yes.
I feel like in Flash we'll see more of that. I feel like in Cyborg we'll see more of that. In Aquaman I don't know about that. We have to see.
Well, Aquaman's just a weird case because he's a race of people that doesn't exist in the real world.
Well, okay, yes,
but so
when he's walking on the street, he's a darker skinned male.
Fair. Yes.
So he is probably going to be identified as such in terms of stereotype and in terms of assumption. What is an assumption based on someone's characteristics?
Stereotype?
No, the other word. I'm just going to make a generalization.
Okay.
Based on his skin color.
Yeah.
And I feel like all of those individual attributes are going to be explored more in the movies, individual movies. They could only do so much. Again, they crammed so much into this one movie, that they could only do so much. But what they did is they identified certain characteristics, they made them interesting, and they developed them enough to be able to go and have their own solo movies, whether it makes sense in a plot way or not, which I doubt that it will, but anyway.
Yeah. But there is potential.
There's very much potential. I feel like maybe the Justice League hasn't fully started yet.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that explains it.
I mean, here's to go and talking about other parts of the film. In a generalization, I did see an image online that I think is a pretty good representation of how this film works compared to the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
With the Avengers being represented by a completely made cake, while the Justice League is just the ingredients to make the cake, individual, all separated.
Mm-hmm.
Because to get into other talking points, while definitely the representation is definitely a good thing to talk about, there's a lot else to talk about with this film.
Mm-hmm.
And the Justice League, except for prior film buildup, well, there was some prior film buildup, but it did not have besides the same level of film buildup that the Avengers had. I feel in terms of how they made the story and all of that, they basically had the same ingredients as the Avengers. If you would you agree with that statement?
Talk more about this, because you did a lot of comparisons.
Yeah, because in my head, it's not like 100% like complete direct, but I did manage to note a bunch of comparisons with the Avengers. Well, one of the things you mentioned that was most connected to the Avengers was saying that Steppenwolf, in terms of how he functioned, and this may be a different conversation, but you said how Steppenwolf, as he functioned in this film as a villain, was along the lines of, who was the guy from Guardians 1?
No, I can't think of his name now.
Me neither. But the guy from Guardians 1, he functioned as that guy, as just a guy, just a kind of a Mookie kind of guy that gained power and just went crazy. While in reality, in the film, he is the Thanos because, again, as we mentioned, the Unity is the parallel to the Infinity Stones. But the
Ronan
the Destroyer, right? Yeah.
Ronan the Accuser.
Accuser, yes.
Drax the Destroyer.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I'm sorry. I should retire from being a nerd for that mistake. Anyway, and the comparisons Potter was talking about I made is that most of the heroes can find some level of parallel to other characters in the Avengers. Batman is the Iron Man, mostly because of the money and the wealth, though I never made this connection, but he's also a bit of the Nick Fury since he's the one that's trying to get this team together. Wonder Woman is the Black Widow in terms that she functions as the serious, strict, very great at combat woman.
Mm-hmm.
That can be a bit of a moral compass. She's not as much of a moral compass in the first film, in the first Avengers, but she kind of plays that a little bit in other films. To me, Superman plays Captain America, obviously, but in terms of how he functioned in this particular movie, he was also the Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the Hulk was something like the Hulk in the Avengers, the Hulk was something we knew, we had an idea was a thing since like there was the buildup of like we're going to point all of these guns at this guy that has the terrible secret. If you don't know who the Hulk is or who wow, I can't think. Bruce Banner is, you don't know what it is, but it's something.
Yeah.
And in this movie, we're like, oh, we're going to try to get Superman back, and that's an expectation. And there's a point in the film where Superman and the Hulk are released, and they kind of run rampage over the newly attempted to form team. And then they kind of are apart from the rest of the other guys, and it's like, well, we got to go to battle without our trump card. And then
that was kind of when Hulk went crazy in Avengers 2.
Yeah,
almost.
But I mean, Hulk. If I remember correctly, Hulk fell out of the ship during Avengers, and then he came back a bit later.
Yeah.
And then they come back, and then the Hulk hulks out and starts really wrecking the place and killing all the bad guys. And then Superman just shows up midway through the battle, and it's like, okay, I'm here. We're done with this fight now, pretty much. So those are the comparisons with Superman and Hulk. Aquaman plays the Thor as the cool demigod, ancient kind of being with weapon with a handle. I do like the Aquaman. I do kind of think he tries to be a little too much like Thor in my head. I think maybe better characterization for Aquaman would have been better. I don't think we got a whole lot from him that I would particularly attribute as good. I see what they were going for.
It was just everything that wasn't Aquaman.
Yeah.
In the comics is what they were seemingly going for.
Yeah. And that's why I'm saying they were trying to make him Thor. The Flash is a little bit an odd one. He's actually more of the Peter Parker, but that doesn't apply to the first Avengers. But he does fill that same role of young, quirky guy that's not really all up to the superhero thing. But that's not really Avengers 1. But still Avengers. But then there is also, well, that was technically Civil War. But and then the last one, wow. Oh, Cyborg. And Cyborg's just Iron Man, just with the tech, with like completely the technological aspect and the iron suit that flies even. Cyborg couldn't fly in the Teen Titans cartoon, but he's able to. I don't think it was either. Yeah, I mean, I think he modded his car to be able to fly at some point, but he wasn't able to fly. And those are those comparisons. But, and again, and there is a general plot of, holy crap, there's a threat that's coming. We gotta go deal with it. We got to get this team together, and the team's not working together. It's not clashing together. And then we got to go no matter what. We're not ready for this, but we still got to go protect the world the best we can. Or at least we're going to die trying. And then they do their best. They're doing a pretty good job, but they're still not doing great. And then the Superman/Hulk comes in and starts really wrecking things up. And then it's like, okay, we got a chance now. We can do this. We can definitely do this. And then they do it. And then the movie's over. And then they go their separate ways. Kind of. I don't really remember the end of Justice League. All I remember is like, wow, that ended really quick from beating the villain.
Yeah. It was like the villain meant nothing.
Yeah. But that's all of my point of like, and those are my main arguments for like, this is the ingredients. And as Potter was saying, there were definitely storyline elements and character development. And there were moments in this film that could have been really good. And again, parallels to things that happened in the Avengers that were in fact really good. It just did not land well with this film. And that's the big problem. And so it's if you want to comment on anything of what I've been saying.
No, I feel like you got everything.
Yeah. That's it. And this might also be a part of it trying so hard to catch up to what Marvel has done. That they took so much, trying to do so much with Marvel. And this would have been, if this was a really good film, this would have been a good chance to say, hey, this formula also worked for us. Also come see our movies. Also see our other films coming out and more. And we are also good storytellers. We are able to competently produce a rival to a genuine rival to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which no one has been able to do. Everyone's been trying, but no one else is able to succeed in creating such a universe as Marvel has in film. And some ancillary media like television shows and tie-in comics and all of that. And DC would have had has a really good place to be since they've been longtime competitors of Marvel. But this movie does not inspire confidence, they can do that. They do have potential to do it, but this movie alone, and even Batman v Superman and Man of Steel don't inspire the confidence. Wonder Woman inspires the confidence. If they keep putting out Wonder Womans, it will certainly inspire confidence and can make a strong competitor. But they cannot have any flops in the next couple of years. If they keep getting flops, it's not going to go well for DC in their cinematic universe.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm going to say on on that. But I feel like there's other things we should be talking about in this film.
I think we hit the important things because when we talked about Transformers, there was a lot of context of the plot because it was 4 movies beforehand and we had a few movies going ahead. With all the Marvel movies, with Thor, a lot of context with the plot. The plot just does not matter at all, other than when you bring up Cyborg. It's the character development, and we talked about a lot of the characters. Superman is such a freaking dull character. There's no use in talking about him. He's just Superman.
Yeah.
But everything else, to recap, Batman. Even if Ben Affleck drops out as Batman, which I like him as Batman, but that's beside the point. He's definitely old enough that he could be training a Robin, and that he could take over as Nightwing within 1 movie and it not be too rushed. And I think that he could become Nightwing over another Justice League movie or be involved in the sense in a Justice League movie. I feel like that's covered. Wonder Woman 2 is coming out in 2019. I feel like that's going to do well, but it's going to be very different. And I'm curious as to if it's going to be kind of a Captain America 2-esque, because Wonder Woman and Captain America are very comparable in terms of storyline, I think, and in terms of character.
They both started off in World War II. They were both involved.
I thought she started off in World War One.
You might be right about that. I might have messed that up.
Oh, where? If that's the case, then where was she in World War II? That's interesting. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, it was World. Okay. Talking about Movie Bob really quick, because I strongly recommend you watching that series. It's currently like 3 hours long, and there's going to be another hour and a half third part to it, but it's really worth it to watch about the Batman v Superman movies. Mm-hmm. But a point he did bring up is a very big confusion in the Batman v Superman that's brought up about Wonder Woman, and the fact that she basically did nothing from the time of World War I to now.
Because I think that point was that brought up in Batman v Superman? I thought that was brought up in Justice League, but anyway,
no,
it might have been brought up in both.
It might have been brought up in both, or it might have been more so brought up.
She did nothing because she was so upset about the loss of her man there.
For 100 years.
So it'll be interesting to see her really go into that. And Cyborg, they have plenty of room to go with him developing his powers and figuring out the alien connection. Might be something else. Cyborg doesn't have any real main villain, so him it'd be interesting to see. Aquaman. Okay, I feel like the Aquaman is kind of like a hot Ant-Man. Like, he's just a wild card, and it could go really well or not. I thought Ant-Man went well. I think it just depends on how you play it, and I think that I feel like he's also kind of the Chris Evans. People are going to go to see him shirtless. Yeah. Here's the
thing with Aquaman, and
I know I will,
and to make a point to support how they can do individual films. Mm-hmm. If the Aquaman film is completely Atlantis-focused and centric. Because unless everyone decides to wear aquatic suits, and Aquaman's kind of a lone wolf type of character, he could if something's going wrong in Atlantis, he definitely would do it by himself, and that would be a good movie to get some good history and background on the Atlantisians in the DC universe. Mm-hmm. Because we know Atlantis is a thing, but what is Atlantis? Well, there's some like general ideas of like what Atlantis is, because pop culture tells us Atlantis was an ancient Greek city that sunk all those years ago. But what does it really mean in the DC universe, especially the DC cinematic universe? Though I will also say the DC universe in general, especially if people are not as familiar with the DC comics themselves.
I agree that bringing in Atlantis more in depth, other than just in that one sense of, oh, they're in this Greek war all these years ago, I feel like is good.
Yes. But besides that, it's going to be hard. I think it is going to be hard, as long as they get good people to write the movies and good direction and better CGI, because I remember people complaining about some of the CGI in this movie. The DC cinematic universe is going to have a hard time, and like we've said, Justice League is not really making people feel confident in this project. Again, Wonder Woman definitely making people feel confident. Justice League, not as much, and I'm kind of sad about that. But I'm okay that Marvel still exists. DC has so much to build on and improve on has so much to use, and to use and utilize, but Justice League was not a good example of them utilizing any of that, well, most of it, effectively. And there are things that they did utilize, I think, required a lot more focus. So, personally, I'm going to say, I don't think this is really worth the watch in the theaters. But hopefully you've all at least watched it before starting this podcast. If not, again, as I keep saying in the other ones, why are you watching? Why are you here if you haven't already listened? But hopefully you have seen it. Hopefully you have listened. And hopefully you don't try to go see it again while it's in theaters. But that's all I have to say. That's all we have to say, I should say. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and share this video and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at SoundJack426. Also, please consider donating on my Patreon page to help support the channel. All the links will be in the description below. Thanks for tuning in. This is SoundJack's signing off.